Hello. Now I love to vlog on YouTube. Do you? I do. I do. I do a move like this here. Maybe I forgot the rest. Different ways to do it. Do a move like this here, then this too. Something like that needs more. So how is it? Happy Merry Christmas, YouTubers. This introduction to a song on vlogging on YouTube. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/user/Romulus Wall. My name is Anthony Wall, also from USA Boxing. I was one of the most active open class fighters in New England leading up to just before the World Trade Center attack. Dozens and dozens of people, then it's made more and more, tied to a former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and his co-defendants, who had a daughter in my grade, who had other federal criminal co-defendants of his that were involved with intercampuses connected, lie progressions and sequence shifts, roles with database, organized crime method worse than organized crime. I'm not even a lawyer, not a police form, not a criminal. Thank God. The bar itself is recorded since founding, left by our founders to have free speech to demonstrate criminally foreign influence. See, they steal our free speech with WFSB because they lock themselves in to pretending to record things that orchestrated roles with our identities of each branch of government and with overt criminal enterprises and with private ones and with one bonding that originally instilled a method to it, which is observable in relationship to opinions interbranch, in relationship to how they don't follow mandated law and pretend others simultaneously. So simultaneously valuing each identity, who they like or not, as their colleagues. They're in collusion still. They're self-valuing roles within as an identity of negative value nature progression that each modern nation is in, a semi-ancient trap. It's not just words. This is as a value progression system with the databases used also, keeping it more and more from there to all locations, other areas and states already, in what was only capable of having, was facilitated specifically where we have crime statistics. Those with that is manifest. What needs that to be? Oh, that's just how life was. Everything blamed on other things, others, and self. Because this juxtaposes other motivations, natures, needs, interests to take part with the fact treatment nature unfoldings in relationship to databases laws, like with color. See, but we never had this spoke to us because originally and still, each branch of government individually grouped and together. They maintain criminally foreign influence victims, but victim predators. Only having known that, only having heard criminally foreign influence treatments of our founding parents. Same reason slash S, most probably that and why righteously Mao Zedong, if he did say that, would say he doesn't want us to write about him. And people go, oh, dictators. Those are people who need to hide the methods of the branches of government to hide their criminal foreign influences and uses of that remotely. Before any one of them was sophistication, any location, area, and state, any sciences stewards of any modern nation, these are sciences recorded, abridged, ground relationships to the surface values of the Constitution, which are simultaneous. Sequence nature is negative value nature, if not as simultaneous nature. For example, in relationship to the really guides the order of physics, which is the order of physics, metaphysics simultaneously, is the order of identity distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously. So it is invisible but still discernible. The relationship between a subject and its and the rest of the sentence, like a predicate. There's still an increasing identity of value progression, positive or negative, before and after A through Z. And this is simultaneously where each letter spells out a word and each word spells out a sentence. So alpha, to begin the alphabet, see alpha in the name alphabet. Um, so alpha longs, people's high, ALP, people's high alpha. Now, where omega is more high than alpha, this is speaking about the order to metaphysics, which is where nature is value and value is nature, where identity and metaphysics and physics are juxtaposed with the body. This is because one greater identity, its identity of relationship to itself, and the value of that is an identity of relationship to itself that stays inseparable from all parts of itself. That's how it is smaller than small. While it is in demonstration of this from not being the small, just being the smallest thing, but being the order to the value of the finite in demonstration of this. See, but we have science is abridged. We have scientific consensus, scientific process. No one was watching, not by accident. Everyone's victim reactions, pseudo positive as a nature of criminal insidiousness nature. As lawyers' roles, with identities of branches in relationship to hundreds of nations at once, force in relationship to, for example, needs to sustain ourselves and to counter all that really causing negative value nature progression to nature in relationship to the tactically denatured identity of the ground relationships everyone is on, let alone most overtly tactically denatured. This was for the crime method that was already entrenched, the breaching method, worse than organized crime, worse than wars, crimes, method already entrenched in America, already entrenched in modern nations A through Z, already having made, without them realizing, Native Americans, Native American tribes A through Z, Native Americans A through Z, blame other things, others themselves. And or if they didn't, and how they didn't, anyway, that's all they lost the database relationship that was revealed by the species working together because it was stolen from every modern nation in a semi-ancient trap. These aren't just words. This is where and how they have the identity of the ground locations of religions also involved with this intercampuses of each age and nature connected. Those people involved what they call academia. Now, these are people that pretend passions and emotions, but they're involved with sequence shifts and preventing mandated law offensively. And where they do that by pretending recorded things faked into branch with each identity of the ground location, like courts and like police stations. They put acting, then they just lie about what's actually recorded into databases. Further and further need to hide live progressions from that, orchestrating their roles with having orchestrated and orchestrating, needing to stay orchestrated, bonded, overt criminal enterprises, private ones, themselves and everyone else kept needing to hide the same, to value, blamed on other causes, other things themselves, the real causes of sequence shifts, negative, finite lies, active lies, progressive lies, identity thefts, frauds, and racketeering by the overt criminal enterprises kept needing to hide the same ones with the branches of government. Keep needing the same ones with all private tied to them. keep needing to value that and how they database solution stack against correlations integrity equally, but it plays out unequally. That's how it's meant to. It's engineered to stay that way. These are zoning laws. Where our quality of fact treatment nature is an edifice, invisible but discernible, as is each value we bring to speech, to writing, the subject. The verb, its identity of relationship to itself, it becomes no longer a verb. For example, made into put an ing on a verb. You have a present participle. It now becomes a participle's nature. Its identity is bigger than its physical body. Its identity is a semi-nature relationship, even bigger than that, to what is bigger than everything. While it is the value of that substance, what is the order, which is the value of all identities of value progression individually grouped and together at once, as its identity of relationship to itself. So the cell body and the cell nucleus individually, and it is them grouped, and it is them together with the cell wall, and where that all the cell walls share how that one identity is of its identity of relationship to itself is the engineering that has us all wanting, needing clean water, food, the sunlight, the times of the day. 3 years. Uh, so we are 1,995 days. So the value of two further sequence natures further, scientifically discernible, are in conjunction with this. Two identities of sequence nature further are in conjunction with and as the value of the not just the cell nucleus, cell body, and the cell wall, but with and as one identity's identity of relationship to itself, an identity of volume that will not decrease. It does not leak, it only increases. Yin yang will not part. Exceptions in exception nature is where and how the female body and the male body are separate. But the identity attached to all questions, that which we are semi-nature in relationship to itself, even a male and female together, grouped. The species is there. This is the nature of volume we are that is changing, so we could also see this how it is the order to its identity of relationship to itself, and the value of that is the answer to all the questions of what is the identity of the order of physics, what is the identity of the order of metaphysics, and what is the identity of the order to identity, which is aware of why and how each individual is a nature of volume that is complete. Simultaneously, where it can only be complete by being valued as a grouped and as a species grouped. Value extension, further and further, positive or negative, in relationship to positive or negative, in relationship to its identity. Just same way our identity has positive or negative as value to identity. In value, there are 5 bonded identities of sequence nature as value, as orders of value. So that puts and holds and increases obligations by our quality of fact treatment nature. to not have to play games with what people can perceive in relationship to these five identities of sequence nature. For example, even if people don't understand that, when someone asks to have mandated law followed, they're not following it. New Britain Superior Court recorded, confessed, and demonstrated distinctly and non-distinctly from Hartford courts, from New Haven or Bridgeport District Court, that and how they are worse than indifferent to roles, not only with faking recorded things and pretending acting passions and emotions fake in there through criminal foreign influences. There's hundreds of nations at once. When they say they have to pretend integrity of the FBI, because then they'll be sanctioned, but then they won't be able to fight where fights are forced on each individual nation in what made that everyone, each individual nation grouped and together, worse than incapable of doing anything other but than blaming other things, others themselves, for the real causes of negative value, nature, progressions, acts, and natures. Acts like predicate acts. Natures like criminal insidiousness natures. Wrongdoers. Mass wrongdoing itself. Self-valued, blamed on other things, others themselves. Again, per method, then what? Then lie progressions, then that's defended. Styles of fact cheap nature, self-cultivated, effectively, easily maintained without anyone realizing, self-value propagated, incapable of defending the Constitution unabridged, to and as the value of all identity ground locations, which is a value/value progression position in relationship to that which will only increase, this is the identity of evolution, its identity of relationship to itself, and the value of that which works with ground, evolution science. I'll gather round, Boxings. Campus Marcius needs the name returned, and Legion 2, a native pure. We all must admit, and to be able to defend our own means and potentials, native rights worse than forsaken. We have to admit this fact cheating nature, evidence racketeering, evidence perception racketeering method, worse than racketeering method that used. I don't know why I used the word racketeer. I meant to say worse than organized crime method, predicate acts method, predicate acts delivery system method. That's what we have a problem with. That's what American history is about. If you use actual science, true always. So how about people? They go, oh, they justify going to war, but then they pretend to be against dictators. This is a method that's using identities. There were other nations besides England that colonized the Native American landscape that was the colony that is now the state of Connecticut before our founding parents were born. They had entrenched database relationships since before computers, involved with what kept and keeps everyone engineered, not just blaming other things, others themselves, for all this causes and them being in self-value that, because no one understood this was sophistication before anyone. This built everyone, like all the identities of a body, all the identities of cells, individual, complete identities simultaneously grouped and simultaneously a complete semi-nature relationship to your complete identity. And your complete identity is a complete semi-nature relationship, but one way. To if it's not, I mean, is only one way can be complete. So then it's a simultaneous relationship to itself, our nature self, which is distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously So we have to discern that and how there are sequence nature. Everything is in demonstration of what is individual grouped in together as itself, making more of itself, making more of one identity of volume that is simultaneously three semi-natures of volume, inherent, active, and progressive. And they are bonded. And we can discern this also with where and how two other identities of sequence nature that will not mix with this temporary slash lasting forever nature of temporary positive we are as a quality of diffusion further simultaneous. So this science, the YouTube channel of Anthony Wall, Algebraic Consciousness. I'm not a doctor. We'll delineate the delusions from the criminally foreign influence, evidence reception of identity, the ground, location stewards, and live progressions from those spots before they were there. These are other more than this is where we have on a mass scale opinion natures, originally still shock and awe. This is originally still, then they'll give them that phrase. And they'll keep sick needs to counter things and people not really realizing how. Self-valuing further and further, how everyone blamed other things, others and so we're in a semi-ancient trap is not words for theater at all. And what is the what is what only thing that's not theater is what is constantly connected revelations, those relevant to learning education. For example, when someone first realizes that and how the identity of value slash value progression that a verb is, how it becomes a different identity of volume as a grammatical value, as identity of volume, where this identity of volume is the answer slash S to all questions. Its identity of relationship to itself and the value of that, positive or negative, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously, onto and as the order of physics, onto and as the order of metaphysics, onto and as the order of identity, which is again this where and how we are a semi-nature relationship to this. So Allah's name was revealed for what they're keeping the locations, areas, and states, even Saudi Arabia. Even the people, the stewards of Christianity, for example, kept the same thing, preventing the first part of the Old Testament, anyone from having honesty with the reception of it. Same time, simultaneously, the branches have been dishonest, and this is recorded. Not only is it recorded, since founding, if anyone asked to have that, they want to debate it out of sequence. While they are not, they're preventing mandated law because they have methods of using their identity ground locations to value areas, databases, organized crime, stacked lies, sequence shifts, illusions, and in conjunction with them too, attaching innocent people to fake locations, fake words, fake relationships to others. They have been lying about what is actually recorded. Excuse me. They have been lying about what is actually recorded online. Connecticut Interbranch, Dear Russia and Ukraine. There's a Leahy family who is involved with mail crimes and wire crimes. I never had a conversation with them. They're pretending conversations with me, and these aren't even people. Like 3 times they forced me into a Hartford hospital triage for they do mental evaluations. Those courts were doing that because they were involved, not just with since proven and already standing, were in collusion with them with other natures of predicate acts methods, but and with the principal sex offenders campus. Two Mendez police are further involved. We actually recorded on and off the Weathersfield Police Department, pretending things fake recorded with their police equipment, with a whole bunch of people tied to former director of the FBI. Also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering with them. I don't know if that's the wrong word. Predicate acts deliveries, cover ups roles with them too, and child abuses, and as their roles with elderly abuses, and all with the same house/s tied to them, also involved with actually recorded through intercities, intercampuses, colleges, and universities, what they call academia, involved with and as used effectively used remotely in Weathersfield town offices, Weathersfield, the community center, further involved with people involved with kids. Now when they hear me talk, in the background they invest more and more people. Like they have the kids all the kids I grew up with, and ones I don't. They met the people I didn't even hang around with. They pretend other. They already attached. They have a human trafficking roles. Our branches of government. They with other nations. They have conspiracy theories that are medical. They forge names, switch names, fake conversations, lie, wire crimes, mail crimes with the courts already in crimes with them with the areas first, too, leading up to and in the World Trade Center attack as the same ones with this pattern. I've been asking for response. Then they pretend they don't understand people. Then they have to value those sequence racketeering natures and methods and styles with all that simultaneous they are doing courts every day. That's all they are capable of. Now, if they get caught here, and we're unequally punished for what we're unequally brought into, because other nations keeping that the outcome, and there too. So now, I never had a conversation with this Joshua Stryker in my life. He's recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with a whole bunch of people associated also with the Fienza family, foreign and domestic influences over all the natures of courts, with people on and off the state judicial branch offices, people associated with this Dillon family. I don't know the names of my new neighbors. And my new and past neighbors are involved with the Kevin Dillon, Sean Dillon, Anna Dillon. People forging names and switching names with wire crime roles and uses of Weathersfield town offices, Weathersfield Pizza, which is right around the corner, right down the road, not far from the state of Connecticut judicial branch offices. And that's with the Stephen Stocko, also with Zano family, their extended family members, with the house/s with the extended family members, and literally thousands of people attached to what their roles with former director of the FBI. See, but these are people making fights between people. So because the courts are already grouped with the FBI and with other agencies and with their family members, and individually, actually recorded natures and not legally criminal and seditious natures, but criminally legalized, and how having been self-valued, that having had what is actually recorded motivations like money, greed, things all like this. Those are juxtaposed. What really keeps all victim predators where it counts, where we are fact sheet in nature, where they have people pretending passions and emotions and relationship to sense and sensibilities when people speak about Christmas, when people make religious opinions other than that, the religions through campuses too, no, are kept with physical delusions as the scientific consensus, scientific process, what they call scientific process, sequence racketeering roles with the branch, with all identity of the law, all private, overt criminal enterprises kept needing the same high, them valuing each other for their needs to hide 5 identities of sequence racketeering or sequence organized crime, sequence predicate acts, delivery systems roles. Call it predicate acts, delivery systems, PRA. We can make the new legislation. They use the word /value legislation without discourse, vaccines. So what we need is there anybody, especially if you guys get along as your neighbors, where you know that this is not our modern means, and it was not their their semi-ancient and nor their was it their colonial means. They were way worse than just limits on the potentials, no organization, no order of humanity. And the value of that order only let stand. So this was engineering, everyone blaming other things other than themselves methodically with no one understanding that. No one having time to. Worse. Made Native Americans A through Z fall last. But two. Made America fall last, but can't. So we have physical delusions when they make opinions about the integrity of the FBI, when they make the opinions about the integrity of the CIA. They're recorded and involved with all kinds of physical delusions and with exploitations of them. All kinds of child abuse, elderly abuse, worse than sick, criminal incompetence. Tall locations, areas and states. Quality of fact, even the potential nature. Identity of the grounds, identity of relationship to itself. Where and how we are active here. We are progressive value. What do they think? That people stacking. What's that? We'll move them on up. Way worse than that. They have. What's the name of that site? That sitcom. See, they have sense and sensibilities. Oh, but you don't think about that. You let someone else think about the law. Someone else think about, and then you have words like dictator to shock and awe with. Whereas how the branches don't follow mandated law, and the more you ask for it, the more they'll stack databases with predicate acts, with sequence shifts, with more and more roles with all kinds of wrongdoing, criminal seditious natures, originally still, of opinions, where it counts, preventing our nature's actual identity of relationship to itself from having free speech, pretending to other. So Santa Claus, that's why it's about all year long. We have to be positive, also positive onto itself, not just the identity of relativity, the identity of the inherent active and progressive, what is bonding all identities of value progression individually grouped and together as what will only stay the positive onto itself perfectly. That's why what exceptions in exception nature are is the parts in the mass and the parts individually grouped and together as Leith of Hadith for nature transfer. I did not read that. That's my take on what Leith of Hadith really means. The river of obscurity, they call it. Some call it. Now, English was revealed by a nature of sophistication that semi-ancients were separated from. This is most probable, and or this goes with the positions and the counter positions of the ancient gaming system and of this YouTube channel. That's what I'm trying to say. Like there are YouTubers who are experts on business. And I'm trying to say, once we get representation in a whole building, someone must have a computer, a YouTube channel, in where there are tactically designed. Now, this is in relationship to where every day already, because they already have to hide this now. Every day, the word/value jobs. It was already used through criminal foreign influences by our branches of government. Just like they catch predators every day and throw them in jail. Innocent people, victim predators, innocent people too. Hurt them in jail, kill them. Proven, proven. They have it's in fields where they have self value, academia, and collusion, where and how the branches were already used remotely. They never had independence. They never had liberation. Each location, area, state, and science is effectively having been maintained. Criminally foreign influence, where and as it counts, and how it counts. That's why and how our founders left losses on significant fronts with the Revolutionary War. Now we have to fight the fact treatment nature part of it to win the revolution. We have to liberate free speech. Sequence true. It is recorded evidence that and how CNN and Connecticut news media recorded, confessed, and demonstrated they were coached, and how they are coached to predicate acts delivery systems method/S roles. For example, they have crime methods pretending people have conspiracy theories, where and how they can't follow mandated law. So they pretend more and more fake things into databases, not by accident, self valuing that having been the outcome, all kinds of ways, also bonded on each age and nature of campuses, and on off them further and further, on off all programs. This had all that was is retired here and there in other nations that has titles, badges. They want to feel good about that. They don't want to feel good by the Santa Clauses, what it's really about, which is native pure. This is where and how we are all native pure. We become more and more not native. The more the distinction between us becomes more and more great while we are not, while we are in and as an identity of negative value, nature, progression, humanity. This is about nature. This is about environment. This is about misprising the dozens. How many people work for each branch of government? A lot of people tied to them, their family, who they speak with. Victims. Before they were walked to those spots were involved with this trap, this trap, only capable. So I have the phenomenon of demonstrating this simple for everyone to understand, but they're not following mandated law. And it is the phenomenon is related to how all these crazy bad things that happened in the news, like a girl getting dragged to her death on the north and reportedly dropped off at the north. At the southwestern side of Goodwin Park. I believe that's Jordan Lane. Now this is down the street from where they used to shoot slaves from the rooftop porch. And as the pathology of homes, tactically worse than semi-unsafe, worse than means to it, individually grouped it together, kept only capable of fathoming this pathology of things means to afford it and stuff like that. Physical delusions and Criminal foreign influence sciences individually grouped it together, self-valued, not by accident. This is an engineered semi-ancient trap that came since before Jesus Christ was even born. This came from since before the messengers of modern religions. Thank God for them. Allah's name per science. See, but they're preventing the first part of the Quran here, there, and here. They're preventing the first part of the Old Testament from free speech. They're valuing treatments of them only allowed heard out of sequence, speaking about positive anyway, outstanding criminal and seditious natures, in collusion with interbranch Justice Department racketeering. Worse than racketeering, worse than organized crime, worse than war crimes, worse than treason, worse. So we have to get them onto paper. The judicial branch is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated consciously they use crime methods of preventing writing. They use crime methods that involve recorded, self-valued, criminally foreign influence roles with it and uses of and acts with as uses of the physical delusions of and the criminal foreign influence natures of, in fact, treatments of lawyers, sequence treatments of lawyers too. Their excuse is just, oh, that's the job. We have the issues and the court solves things. See, but the court's preventing mandated law offensively here. We have female judges, multiple female judges involved with child offenders. Their roles with them, also medical. Their roles attaching little kids and their family members to fake locations, fake relationships to doctors, spreading rumors through girls, putting fake things into databases. Whole bunch of people also on off Fox Connecticut News, locations next to them, dozens of people involved with a Thaddeus Grabowski, two Mendez police, two Domain brothers. As police officers involved also, I think it's the name White, I don't know. Involved also a whole bunch of people with probate court judges and their family members with drug crimes, crime rolls with and uses of untimely deaths, and uses of their locations interbranch also with superior courts and with Connecticut District Court involved with them, also with right next to them. And they've been faking police. The police have been lying with the branches individually and grouped. Now, Weathersfield police are also in conjunction with the predicate act delivery systems and cover-up systems of Fox Connecticut News and of WFSB, which they would rather have defended that way because they already have pretended things into databases. Their roles also note with identity thefts, frauds, and racketeering, where they affect people to steal people's property. Also, in conjunction with them having fake conversations about that with people, and they have mental diagnosis that Russians and that Americans and that Ukrainians have. With like, for example, a whole bunch of other nations, medical families associated with Pakistan, Italy, like with the Tomorrow family, interbranch roles with child offenders, predicate acts with the Kerr family, with girls I don't know the names of who pretended other from CCSU, associated also with a Joel. Only context I know his sister in, where they recorded themselves in a context they couldn't be honest about, and they were acting to other people. And those are also people recorded with ties to that having been exploited for their roles in the background, with mayors retired and standing, and with further medical families and roles with overt criminal enterprises with interbranch Facebook pages, and their roles with the policing of the campus's Facebook pages, also involved with covering up their live aggressions. There's also Subbi Bajerio, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with men and women with identity thefts, frauds, and racketeering on and off Central Connecticut State University, associated with shared policing with, of malls and things. Like now, these are people involved with identity thefts, frauds, racketeering with a Delaferro family. Also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with remote uses of WTNH, Fox Connecticut News, and WFSB, which could change. Please do what's right and fix the fake words and lies you told about me, WFSB. You attach me to fake words and you lied with other people, who you call experts. They have no right to do that, but they're getting away with it because those are people with the drug cliques and sexual circles and worse I'm not making any judgments about that, though that's in relationship to them, what's actually recorded. And their roles with all that is tied to their crimes with the areas, the uses of each location, area, state, age of person, and treatments of positive or negative. They control in groups, they're keeping them criminally foreign influence with themselves, pretending they don't realize their titles, criminally foreign influence. Delusions raw. Doesn't matter if whose their motives are. Follow mandated law. They have a man named Comey and Mueller recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with Connecticut courts with crimes with Russians and pretending to be against that. And with a Leahy family that attached me to fake conversations with them about this. And with agencies, a whole bunch of people tied to former director of the FBI involved with predicate acts with the Leahy family, with a Judge Killian and with a whole bunch of judges before him. Now, these are people also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by all their ties outside and their people associated with their family. They're involved with database racketeering, worse than racketeering. What roles with their sequence shifts, identity frauds, identity thefts, and worse than racketeering. And those people also roles with the predicate acts of two Mendes police, inclusion on and off the Wethersfield Police Department, on and off state the New Britain Superior Court, also involved with human trafficking with WFSB with those courts. Those courts with retired and standing prosecutors and judges involved with these. Also with a whole bunch of people with the South Civiello and neighbors next to him like a Faenza family, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with a whole bunch of other people with on and off the state judicial branch offices with them, with predicate acts with judges, retired and standing, delivery systems of it, cover-ups of it, lie progressions, needs for it, also recorded. They have no integrity. They're using the identities. You can't defend that and tell what American history is really about. Can't tell what English history is really about. You have to stay fake sides, punk opinions only heard, and these punks, all these undercover people, fake law because they're not going to get in trouble if they go to jail. See, they have the perception of each age of fact treatment nature. Kept where we have sick fake punks with these they put the aggression too. So that I noted in other videos where they speak about my when I use aggression or things like that. This is in relationship to their sequence shifts. I asked you nicely first. Many other people did of each age of fact treatment nature to have integrity, to follow mandated law. Same people in courts pretending to follow mandated law, they aren't doing it. They have whole mail crime methods, wire crime methods. Then they want to keep using their identity, the ground locations, the courts to stack more fake recorded things into databases. They know that, so they know also that they can that and how they can affect the wrong outcomes in cases. We have tactically pseudo educated human fact, human nature opinions, tactically, effectively, criminally foreign influenced, originally still all of them were accounts in relationship to things like what will cause and what was it about Jim Crow laws. Could know more about that than me. I'll follow your delusions and know more about that than you because I follow the sequence shifts, sequence racket. You know what you have to rely on to justify anything of any identity of the law pretended to have integrity. You have to rely on criminally foreign influence premises treatments. You have to rely on criminally foreign influenced identity treatments, title treatments, sequence treatments. See, sequence nature is one thing that each five parts are distinctly, but it is not what they are. It is, but where and how they are valued simultaneously is where and how they can only be instead a simultaneous nature, and they can only stay that one way, only positive onto itself, or a force from here. So the species body can gain Santa's gifts. We have to enable this identity of relationship that our nature's nature has onto itself and as itself. We have to enable free speech by enabling people to counter fake passions and emotions and opinions of people that are used by branches of government, a whole bunch of nature's accords that can't hide them how they're how they were used. They have criminally foreign influenced acts, actually recorded natures, cover-ups of them, where the identities of the prisons all tied to them. The identities of the people that service that all kept needing to hide the same finite sequence shifts, finite lies, active lies, progressive lies, identity thefts, frauds, racketeering roles, pretend styles, pretend they're about jobs. When you see what was constructed, it was jobs is not the problem. And then the opinion natures of those people with those jobs and their treatments are positive with their bosses are also relevant to how we have the abridged constitution and the abridged science is self-valued that way originally and still. And so we have free speech that brings instant reliefs, all kinds of natures of them, even artistic. So there are no excuses to delay my voice. Now this is what they have been doing. Connecticut Interbranch. Now these are people since I was a child involved with predicate acts, with a Gold family, and with a O'Brien family, who are recorded and confessed and demonstrated involved also with a whole bunch of retired and standing police chiefs associated with my town's police chief, and one years ago with the same house that has a Phil Cololo as an extended family member and has Scaloras as extended family members, also involved with forensics locations, involved with the transition from ACA to RICO, with uses of the FBI for crimes with overt criminal enterprises juxtaposed and other nations' identities, shared policing, shared relationships to World Trade Center manifest and Washington D.C. manifest value/value progressions, relationships to what is actually manifest interages of each age and nature of campuses, connected, simultaneously database private, simultaneously service all natures of campuses, like fire departments, kept needing to hide the same finite, active, progressive lies, sequence shifts, and worse natures of it. Where and as now counts too, which completely fact treatment nature oriented. Now to prevent themselves So this is how they have each position: preventing mandated law, enforcing, self-value, means to pretend that they don't realize that, because they're reading databases that they know also are recorded, knowing that the criminally foreign influence databases uses of them. They're not trying to hide they're using. So all the topics in CNN have connections, and they are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. They'll pretend that you have conspiracy theories if you try to demonstrate it, when it is recorded in relationship to how they're insulated and making opinions while they're preventing mandated law. While they are recorded roles with courts, they have to keep stacking more fake things in the databases. They have an increasing needs to self-value, actually recorded juxtaposed natures of organized crime with my uses of databases and of children through time intercities with all those, with the jobs, Washington D.C. World Trade Center tied to Weathersfield, and to the actors involved with that, with intercities, sustained roles with sustained, you know, dumping in illusions. They have to keep lying about each location. They have to keep lying about each individual's worth in relationship to people stacking in New York City, let alone Hartford, Connecticut, let alone New York City. Cities throughout the world, the same pathology of homes. Like, same thing in Russia. Same suit and tie trap. Now one must rap. Vaccines. Who will unite with me, Russia, against psychology? Recorded also, used by the branches of government to forge names, switch names, uses of them for areas crimes with their patients and criminals, against each age of fact, treatment, nature, sickly. These are not means with our elderly homes. We have value treatments with private companies that are out of their minds in relationship to such businesses. The purge. So we have to have mandated law followed, and then you will see the Santa Claus come through. Boxing is true. Boxing is also a defense mechanism system that we could use to reward what people stacked upon place, what has a representative first, and to reward the area around it. It only feels like gain, and we're going to make that increasing value. We're going to make everything that could hurt it or bring us down increasing value to us. The Legion wakes, yes, native pure. Campus Marcia's calls, return the name. We'll train. We'll train. We're going to take over the sciences abridged. We're going to liberate them. We're going to liberate nature, which is its identity of relationship to itself, and there's the value of that, which is the value of the bond between the inherent active and progressive. Okay, thank you for coming out this evening, or whatever evening or day this may be watched in. Boxings begin. Now, any area you could be in, but we're gonna pick when we can make this our headquarters for the world. So, thank you.